This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
All right, Cam the man, how you feeling, baby?
Big O, how you feeling, man? I'm all right.
Yeah. What's new in your world? Where are you at right now? Tell us where you're at, because you're always traveling.
Yeah, where is Cam at this week? At the HBCU Legacy Bowl. That's where we're at in New Orleans. So they're having practices this week, career fair this week, and then Saturday is the game. It's the first game they've had here for the HBCU Legacy Bowl. Essentially, it brings the best HBCU prospects together. They play a game in front of draft scouts and prospects and people like that, and they try to up their draft stock. So a little bit of a draft event out here to see if they can get more of these kids drafted. So I'll be the sideline.
You got any names for me?
So Aquil Glass is the quarterback from Alabama A&M. He's a guy who's probably going to get drafted. He's a big kid, 6'4", like 230. He's got a really strong arm. He's a kid you're probably going to get day 3 of the draft. So if you want a developmental quarterback, he's probably the biggest name out here that you can find. There's a linebacker from Jackson State named Keontae Hampton that I interviewed yesterday. He's a really good player that you probably can find in the late rounds too. All these guys are probably going to be more developmental players, special teams guys. There's not like a true star who's going to go day 1 or day 2 of the draft, but I think there's players who can make NFL teams here.
How many of those guys have combine invites? Out of curiosity,
I think four of them have combine invites. So not a lot. That's why they're doing this event, because 4 guys get a chance to put on the spotlight in front of everybody. The rest of the kids, they got to hope some scouts come out to their school. So this brings it all in one spectrum. Really, it makes it easy. It makes it easy for the scouts. You say, hey, send your scouts here for a weekend or a week, and you see all the HBCU prospects. Instead of
are they doing it in Tulane, or are they doing it in the Superdome?
So the game is played in Tulane. They actually practiced in the Saints practice facility yesterday.
Oh, cool.
But they're playing the game in Tulane Stadium.
Yeah, I figured it was. Yeah, Superdome would be a lot of money to rent.
Yeah, true. True. And then the NFL gets in their feelings a little bit about having a team have a game there. That's because they think it gives a little bit of a unfair advantage for teams as far as draft prospects, because they have everything in their building. So, and particularly for free agents, they don't want them to feel like, oh, the Saints rolled out the red carpet for us, so then we sign with them after the draft.
Right. Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. All right. Your thoughts, man? Sam Madison and now Pat Surtain joining the coaching staff for the Miami Dolphins.
Legends coming back home. That's dope. I'm a big fan, and I've told you on the show of Joe Alexander and what he did, and Charles Burks and what they did, and the staff, and both of them are gone. So players really love those guys. So you got to bring in respected people, and I don't think there's going to be anybody upset seeing Sam Madison and Patrick Surtain in the building. Those are dudes who obviously, I would think, you could argue with me if you want, Big O, but maybe the 2 best cornerbacks to ever play for the Dolphins. And if you want to include Xavier Howard in there, maybe the 3 best cornerbacks ever to play for the Miami Dolphins, all in the same building at the same time.
Yeah, Jake Scott would be right up there with those guys. But yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so it's legendary, and particularly with Sam Madison's case, he's been coaching Kansas City for 3 years, so he has a lot of experience. Surtain's been doing it on the high school ranks, so that's a lot of respect in the building. And I know for players, like I talk to a lot of players, they respect guys who've done it. And these guys have done it on the highest level. So if these guys are standing in front of the room and telling you this is what you need to do, you're going to do it because, hey, these dudes are legends. So I think this is a great staff move for Mike McDaniel. I keep thinking back to the video where he was walking into the facility. The Dolphins filmed that with their social team. Oh, he's pointing the stars out on the wall. He's like, oh, there's Sam Madison. There's Ricky Williams. And so you could tell a guy who he's not from here. He's not, one of the Dolphins fans growing up, but he realizes the culture. When we talk about Dolphins, he's a football fan. And when we talk about Dolphins fans, unfortunately, you always have to pull from the past because that's the good old days. So you pull from the Patrick Surtains, you pull from the Sam Madisons, you pull from the Ricky Williams, pull from Dan Marinos. So they're gonna soak this all up. All the only thing left is to get Zach Thomas in the building, and you got the whole band
no
together.
shot, by the way. No shot.
Yeah, I don't think he wants to do this coaching deal.
No shot. He's definitely not the dude to coach. He has the work ethic in it, but he's too smart. He's one of those guys that I think will get driven crazy, like most great players, that they're trying to coach people and they think they all can do what they used to do.
Yep.
And then that's why most great players suck as coaches, because they don't have the patience and they don't realize, dude, they're not you, bro. Most of the guys you're coaching aren't going to be you. So you got to understand that. And it's a really odd thing for great coaches, for great players in any sport to coach.
Yes. And I think we talked about this before when we talked about Doug Peterson when we were doing the coaching search. A lot of times you see these former quarterbacks as always backup quarterbacks who end up being head coaches. Like you never see like a Peyton Manning or Drew Brees or somebody being a head coach because, like you mentioned, how can you tell a dude who's not as good as you to do exactly what you do?
Exactly. So, yeah, that's the thing. It's an interesting situation. The other thing I talked about right before you came on. And I said, look, one of the things that this front office screwed up on was, and the Tannenbaum front office screwed up also, was they gave Gase and Flo power of personnel. And the next time you hire a coach, he can't have that. He can make a suggestion, he can tell you who he likes, but he can't be demanding things like Gase and Flo did. And then on top of that, you need somebody that's going to work with the front office. I think those are both the cases now. I think Mike McDaniel's working with the front office because the Surtain and Madison stuff kind of show you he doesn't know those guys. That's a Chris Greer thing that he knows those guys and he put them together. And I don't believe that McDaniel has the personnel power that Gase and Flo had, which I think is actually better for Marvin Allen and Reggie McKenzie and Chris Greer, because I think those guys are more than qualified to pick players. And you just tell them, hey, I need a pass rusher, this, that, whatever, and let them go out and get it. Don't go demanding what specific player you want.
Right. There should be a separation of church and state, to use that word. So I think that I think that's what they're heading towards. And this really helps. It'll help us as media and it'll help fans be able to delineate responsibilities, which I think is good. You hold people accountable. You know, if there's a guy that's drafted, a free agent that does great. Okay, that's the front office. Right. You know, that's drafting these players. You know exactly who's doing what. It's bad.
They're coach.
Exactly. So I love it.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. So I think that's definitely in a good direction. All right, so I got to ask you. Omar was doing the I Am Athlete podcast, and so Flo was on. You know you weren't going to escape without this question. Look, we had Omar on, and we told him you were about to bust out laughing, weren't you? When he was talking about it.
Yes.
So right, it looked like it, right?
Okay. So first of all, what did O say about the podcast?
He thinks, which by the way, I thought Joe Shad nailed it also, and I think you might say the same thing. I think he lacks awareness of what relationships are and what his connection is with human beings. And while there may be some truth in his eyes to what he thinks relationships are, and then it's viewed differently with other people. And that's what Omar was saying. And you know what? I'm going to have to say that you guys are right on that. That's probably what it is. That's his reality to coach-player relationship type. You know what I'm saying? Whereas the player is going, no, dude, that's not a relationship. That's not how things are done. So I think there is a lack of reality sometimes for Flo and a lack of awareness for Flo in this situation, because there's no doubt in my mind he had terrible relationships with many people in that building, not just Tua.
Yeah, I think my big thing with Flo, and obviously I reported on this situation a lot, but I think for him, he has grown up in an area in Brooklyn where he thrives off confrontation. And I think most people don't thrive or want to live in confrontation. So for him, he may honestly, I think he may honestly feel like he had a perfect relationship with Tua or had an ideal relationship with Chris Greer when those people do not feel that way. So I think that's probably the biggest disconnect, is that he probably doesn't think he has a bad relationship with anyone,
Right.
because that's just how he rolls. So I'm curious, and I don't know if he'll ever talk about it. I would be curious to see Tua's honest, unfiltered opinion about
you'll never get that.
I don't think you'll ever get it. And I'm gonna ask him, next time we see him. But
we're all gonna ask him, and you'll never get it. You'll never.
Yeah, I think that's the big disconnect when you see Flo speaking about these issues, because everything he'll talk about it as far as Tua, he'll talk about it as far as Greer. He'll say all the relationships were fine, and I can tell you from talking to people in the building, everybody doesn't think that way. There are people who know the relationships were not fine. They got a little I don't know if strain's the right word. He disputed the word strain, but I think that there was definitely something there that caused him to get fired as far as the relationship. So
have you heard anything on the case side? New?
No, nothing new. I do know that it's been reported publicly, but the Dolphins have lawyered up Ross and Beal, and the Dolphins have got a really, a lawyer, one of Obama's former attorney generals. That's the lawyer, and so he, they're prepped for that. When you do that, to me, that tells me they think this is something they have to legitimately fight. This is something that they're gonna spend big money to make sure they get their name cleared. Obviously, Flores has his lawyers. I think there is a date set for next month, the first litigation deposition situation. So I think it'll be a lot of procedural stuff, from what I understand, and then you'll go through it. So this may be something that takes probably into next year, honestly, for this to all be settled. If there's no settlement, that's the first thing that comes up. People settle when they want to go make this thing go away. So I'm still not convinced there won't be some sort of settlement, but if it's not, then it'll probably push into next year before this thing is settled.
Question for you, because I asked Omar, but he didn't think it was the time, which they were openly recruiting.
Yep.
I have not heard one coach at all join this lawsuit, and I am positive that these two what's it called, promotion seeking lawyers would love to throw out the names out there that have joined the lawsuit. Have you heard any names join this lawsuit? Because I haven't heard one.
So I do know there have been people who've joined the lawsuit. I don't know for specific as far as head coaches, and I can't really.
That's what I mean, head coaches.
I can't really name some of the assistant coaches that have joined at this point, but there have been people who have joined, whether it be assistant coaches or former head coaches. So I think they're like O said, they're still recruiting. I think this is something where if you put your name on it, it's going to become public at some point, and you have to deal with sort of the blowback of all of this, because let's be real, the NFL does not take kindly to being sued, to being pressed on these sort of things. So you're essentially risking being blackballed if you put your name on this lawsuit. So I don't think you're going to see a lot of current head coaches doing that, because Flores obviously made a big stamp and did it, and he's risking his career to do it. But a lot of people got families to feed, and that's a very tough thing to do.
I'm with you there. All right, Cam, enjoy yourself out there in New Orleans. The food, of course.
Oh yeah, I'm eating good.
Yeah,
I'm eating good. I actually saw. I'll leave you with this. I actually saw a brass band last night. And it was exactly why I wanted to come to New Orleans, or why I'm excited to go to New Orleans, because you're in the music venues, you hear the culture, the vibes, everything, and it makes you feel like you're one of the people here. So yeah.
My last Friday in the Senior Bowl, I always end in New Orleans, and we'll do that next year with Sean here. And we always go to New Orleans, and I always love just with a grenade in one hand, a cigar in the other, and I'm walking and I'm stopping at bars and checking out one band for a while and then another, and I just love the free flowing movement that you can have in New Orleans, going from one bar to another, man. I think it's just great. And of course, it's always awesome laughing at the people who are just absolutely wasted.
wasted,
Mind.
you know, toasted on the street. And
Throwing
the crazy
out
part
the
is,
color, yeah.
they actually started Mardi Gras, like it starts a couple weeks early. I didn't learn until
Really?
I was out here. So we're actually this weekend, Friday. Today's Friday. There's going to be some Mardi Gras action, so I'll probably find my way on Bourbon Street at some point tonight.
There you go. There you go. Cam's going to be
Now
loaded
Street,
with
yeah.
beats. Loaded with beats. All right, Cam.
The game's not till 3:00 Central Time, so I got time to recover in the morning, right?
There you go. Damn right. Damn right. Follow him on Twitter like I and many others do at Cameron Wolfe, and catch his exceptional work there at the NFL Network. And, of course, you can catch him here twice a week doing his thing with the Fort Lauderdale Police Department, Miami Dolphins, and NFL Report. Cam, thank you, my brother. Have fun out there.
Appreciate you, Big O. Have fun up there in New York, man.
You got it, baby. Thank you.
All right.
There you go. Cameron Wolfe.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big